Hello again, welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. As always, I'm your temporary permanent host, Jeff Quirk, joined today by Ben Reeves.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and Tim Turi.
Hello.
And right now we are looking at Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate.
For the Nintendo 3DS.
Exactly.
3D is not active. This is a non-3D video on your normal computer screen.
If you let your eyes relax maybe a little bit.
Unless you're watching this from the future.
Okay.
Where everything's in 3D.
So we've skipped ahead a little bit to Simon Belmont's playthrough. This is one of the first significant boss fights of the game. Boss fights stand out as being some of the more satisfying combat in the game, and in a game that's mostly about exploration and kind of checking stuff out.
You're fighting the spy versus spy guy.
Yep, that's him, Plague Doctor Spy.
The white spy.
And so I got to fight these guys. Been a little while since I reviewed this one, so you'll have to forgive any rustiness. But so Simon Belmont is Gabriel Belmont's grandson, and so that makes Simon the son of Trevor Belmont. And you kind of hop between storylines and control throughout the course of the game. You control Simon Belmont's Gabriel for a little bit, Alucard, and Trevor. And it's really cool stuff. Really cool way to set people up for Lords of Shadow 2, which is the proper sequel to the action game that came out. It's
how far after Lords of Shadow does this take place?
This takes place before Lords of Shadow.
So let's back it up even a little bit further. I really enjoyed Lords of Shadow. I enjoyed its three-dimensional camera angles. Mm-hmm. This is a two-dimensional game.
It is.
Do you have some dodging forward and back kind of things, or is this just kind of whirling around a little bit?
Let me talk about that in a minute. Ben, I just want to clarify something I said. It begins before Lords of Shadow, and then the rest of the game takes place between Lords of Shadow 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
So it sets up, there's certain things that happen with Gabriel at the end of that game that fundamentally change some stuff. I'm not going to spoil it here.
Right. We spoiled that elsewhere.
Spoiled, right?
Yeah.
We did, but, if you haven't played Lords of Shadow, it's still worth going back to, and it kind of sets up Lords of Shadow 2. But as Cork was saying, indeed, this is a 2D game, based on a 3D, basically, reboot of the franchise. If you're looking for a Konami in-house Order of Ecclesia or Mirror of Fate or Circle of the Moon, that kind of stuff, any of those Symphony clones, while great games, this is not that. This plays more like a 2D, God of War or Lords of Shadow. So the combat's weightier. The platforming has more weight to it as well. If you fall, one good way to put it is you fall from the top of a room, in the castle, you're gonna die because you fell too far, which is totally different than the Symphony-based Castlevania games.
It's weird. So. I feel like that's kind of controversial. A lot of people were complaining about that, but there are elements. A little bit of elements of sort of the Metroid-style gameplay where you go explore a map.
Yeah,
you'll see castle.
You'll see some points that you need, a pit that you need the grappling enabled chain cross to leap across, and you can mark that in your menu. It's kind of cool. You can pull up a thing. I don't know if I can get into it right here in the middle of the battle.
It sounds like a weird hybrid to me, actually.
Yeah, there's this whole thing where I could make a note if I so pleased.
On a sheet of paper?
Yeah.
That you have next to you?
Yeah. But anyway, I want to keep on this battle. This is definitely more interesting. So yeah, you can basically make notes around the castle, places you want to go back to, I need the chain cross for this. So.
But basically my question was, is that hybrid work pretty well? Because I feel Metroid, Castlevania, they sort of nailed that gameplay element, the sort of exploring things, getting the item, going back, exploring this new area, where you almost don't need to mess with it much, and changing sort of the combat. Maybe that's a good direction to go with it. Does it work pretty well?
I think it does work pretty well. It's definitely different, but I think it's the same kind of difference that is good for a series. It feels fresh and it's fun. I don't like to compare it too much to those games because it's so different. It's a completely different developer. Those were Japanese games. This is by Mercury Steam, same people that did Lords of Shadow. But It works. It works. It's probably not as completely like it's a different experience for it though.
Do you think having the like Lords of Shadow surname kind of gives it that flexibility where it's like they can kind of fake it a little bit and say, well, it's not really Castlevania, it's the Lords of Shadow, which is Castlevania, but at the same time,
it's a totally new thing. Yeah.
And the full name of this game is Castlevania.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate.
Yeah.
Just like ridiculous.
It's a mouthful.
Full.
Cork, you asked me before about the dodging. I'm just hitting the left trigger to dodge.
Okay. And it's just a simple roll. There's not like a Tekken style forward, backward, like out of the plane kind of thing.
This was a close fight. No, it's all on 2D.
Okay.
The 2D plane, and you can also time it to like do counterattacks.
Get him. So what were you guys arguing over? Why were you fighting?
I am in his castle.
That's a no-no.
He hates that. And if you notice, there's like a blue aura on me at certain points. That is like a special ghost familiar. Basically, I think it's like named Sypha, basically a callback to Castlevania 3's ghost character. Yeah, they betrayed him.
Just turn on him.
Screw that guy.
You are not good in battle.
And basically, that blue ghost will absorb combat damage for me, which is really nice. And also, it helps me with some like environmental puzzles. I had to push a box underneath like a poison waterfall. And normally, if I didn't have that, I would push the box too slowly and I would die. You get another one of those later is Simon that is more of an aggressive attacker guy. And he will shoot dudes that are close to you. So if you have to pull a switch and there's a bunch of like zombies bugging you, then he'll watch your back. So
are there a lot of the minions to collect, or
each character has about a certain amount of items that are specific to them. You see his menu. He's got his whip plus 4 special things. Some of them
everything about him is special.
Oh, absolutely. And one of them includes throwing axes, pretty classic. But when you start, you get through him, and after you beat Simon's campaign, it's split up into 3 acts. You'll start Alucard, and Alucard will have the same moveset with his whip, and you start with like the chain cross, but you won't have those ghost familiars. Alucard will have the wolf transformation, or he'll shoot bats, or he'll turn into a mist form, and it's not exactly like Symphony, but it's different enough. And this is one of those moments where I die.
Could you not stop doing that?
I could. I was just busy in my
one-hit
sentence.
kill? What happened?
Well, no, I was really low from the boss fight.
Oh.
And also I want to note that you don't use save rooms, but the checkpoints are so forgiving that you are not going to be aggravated at all as you're, making your way through the castle.
Oh, and you got some health back, so...
So yeah, it's split into 3 different acts. All of them kind of end on cliffhangers, and then they all kind of collide into one cool story.
And it's a nice tease for the inevitable Lords of Shadow 2.
Excellent tease. You think I can make it?
Lords of Shadow.
No, this isn't happening.
Shadows
I'm
of
failing.
Ecclesia 2. More shadows.
Yeah, even shadier.
Yeah. Careful. There's no sun.
Oh, it did open. Sweet. I barely made that.
Well, did you feel like playing as Alucard was like the best?
I actually preferred Simon and Trevor, I think.
Interesting.
But they all play very similarly and just have little differences between them.
I've been wanting to play as Alucard again since Symphony of the Night.
He's a cool character.
Yeah. And then obviously that game's a lot of fun, so...
Yeah, and he's obviously inspired by the Symphony Alucard. Looks like him, acts like him a little bit, but, it's definitely different. And,
Same cocky attitude.
Yeah.
Same
exactly.
gumption.
Ben, you nailed it. And I wanted to know, this is a good-looking game. This looks especially good on, like, a 3DS XL or something, but... still definitely one of those good reasons to own a 3DS, I think. I'm a big fan of it. I do think that some Castlevania purists that are expecting a Symphony, another, Symphony, just like a direct sequel or follow-up to Order of Ecclesia for the DS, if that's exactly what you want and you're not open to any deviation from that formula, this might not be for you. If you're interested in what I would say is an successful experimentation with the formula, just like Lords of Shadow was to the Castlevania formula, I think by all means you should check it out. It's not perfect, but it's a fun game. Sometimes the castle feels a little empty. I want to fight more guys sometimes, or a puzzle will be confusing. There's a couple duds of puzzles. Whether you're rearranging beams of light or flipping switches in a certain order.
So is combat pretty flexible? That was one of my favorite things about Lords of Shadow was just Gabriel seemed like he had like a huge arsenal and a lot of variety to his attacks.
Yeah, you know, Trevor, once you get a hold of him, he has the light and dark magic stuff where one will heal you and one will do more damage.
Okay.
That plays into the final boss fight again. And the final boss fight is one of my favorites in any Castlevania game. Again, like the boss fights in Lords of Shadow were great, and that same spirit transfers over into Mirror of Fate really well, I think. And if you're liked that, light and dark magic stuff, you got that in the final act, but you also have two different characters that are, unique in their own way. And I think it works. It was a little jarring, like getting used to Simon and then suddenly, oh, now you're Alucard and you don't get to use these ghost guys. That was a little jarring, but I got over it, and I kind of enjoyed getting used to new characters, save for Alucard wasn't my favorite, but...
he wasn't your favorite? Oh, in this game?
No, in this game, yeah.
But you're not going to defame his name.
No. But, you got a good mix of abilities. I can, eventually hit a guy and then hit the jump button and then air juggle him and mix in some, heavier attacks. And it feels like 2D Lords of Shadow. And if that's something you're interested in with some kind of light...
Smash
Metroidvania style mechanics in there, then I think you got something to look forward to here. So,
bottom line, what'd you give it?
8.5.
8.5.
Bottom line.
Yeah,
that's what it says. All right, well, thanks, Tim, for showing off the game. I think this is a nice slice of it. Certainly get to kill a lot of skeletons or knock them down temporarily.
Oh, you got it. Yeah,
I love the art design of this. Like the art design of the 3DS one was amazing, but like.
Of the console one.
Yeah, the console one, I'll say. This one's good, too.
Yeah, and it's pretty consistent throughout. Some areas are a little boring, but overall, it's a really marvelous-looking 3DS game, I think. So.
Were you guys trying to end it, and I blew it?
You blew it big time, but that's okay.
But that's our Ben.
Hey.
Yeah. So I'm just going to truncate. I was going to say thanks for the excellent conversation, Ben. I'm just going to say now thanks for showing up.
Yeah, that's great.
Tim, thanks for playing.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks for watching.
What's your guys' favorite Castlevania?
Good day.
All right. What are you guys doing later?